Okay. A Sicilian. They have, like, I did nothing deep since, like, I felt like against no lines really of my repertoire. They have played very challenging stuff in the past, so then yeah, it would be quite loose preparation anyway. So but yeah, I still had like a little bit check, and they were deviating quite a lot. But yeah, if I would have prepared something specific, I guess it would have been this, since I felt like lately they, well, still switching it up, like the Sicilians started to get the upper hand. And yeah, they played against the Rossolimo already like this line. So need to remember the right move order. I think the move order is e5 here, knight g4, then take, and then I call some. And yeah, I have did quite some work on this line. This is mainly back in the time I still played knight c3 on move 3. Which I have switched away of, but this is the one line that still is remaining. It's quite some time I looked at it, but yeah, oh, knight h5, which is a rare line, but I think yeah, it exists. So now the question is, do I still want to take or not? There is no less pressure on g5, so it's less needed. I guess the idea is that the knight maybe goes to here. Or of course it could go via the f4 square. Because of that, I'm seriously considering to play d3 here. I think the knight would be well placed here. And otherwise then this is the maneuver. Also d3 sort of stops bishop g7, since then g4 would trap the bishop, the knight. It could, yeah, there is a small chance it's still an idea, but I sort of doubt it. I don't think I need to rush now with taking. I think, for example, like maybe at some point I will play d6, and maybe then, yeah, I take, give them these very ugly pawns. Or if they, of course, if they play a6, I'm still gonna take. Or maybe if there gets too much pressure on my pawn. Yeah, this is like not the, I think the big majority of games is knight g4. I think I never faced this knight h5, but the engine actually, I think it's even the engine suggestion. Mainly because exactly the line I play, which was not the main line. But yeah, I had an extreme, very good game against Jessie HF of the league in it. That game should be on my YouTube. So in case this goes to YouTube, which is likely, I will link that game. It's a very interesting. I think it's one of the games of my league games I've been the most proud of. But yeah, I would have been happy to go in that line, but yeah, maybe we still could go for very similar ideas. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, they want to go very fast to this square. I assume playing here g4 is, I guess, yeah, they can still go to e6 this way anyway. So my idea of stopping the knight going to e6, that didn't make that much sense. But yeah, I assume I anyway still wanted to play d3 at some point, so don't think it's that big a deal. After knight e6, maybe then I sort of want to get in taking. Because yeah, I still want to mess up their pawn structure. I think, I assume. Anyway, at some point I'm gonna castle short, so don't think. And yeah, like probably castling short here already made more sense, but they are playing very fast, so looks like they prepared as well. Think now, yeah, now is the time I want to take here before the knights are sort of connected to each other. Could, after taking, and let's say they take with the d pawn, could be thinking about knight e2. Like, since now the bishop is sort of blocked by this bishop, and I don't allow knight e4. Although I guess I don't stop it. The queen defends the square, so that doesn't really work. Okay, so the knight will get to d4. Maybe, so yeah, maybe instead of d3 here, I should have castled and then, so take here and then so in this position, not having d3, but maybe knight e4 in or something. So I could play c3. Maybe make some sense. Taking here and knight e4, that still sort of attacks this pawn actually. So maybe I still can get in this c3. But yeah, the knight is still excellently placed here. Also stopping bishop f4, which is often a move I want to play in this position. Yeah, I don't. This maneuver is very good. Guess here, maybe bishop e3, at least force them into b6. Yeah, the knight on c3 anyway was not doing anything. On e4 it looks good. The only thing is that it sort of blocks any, if I want to protect the e5 pawn, it stops the connection with that. And yeah, the e5 pawn could be a liability in this position, because I also don't have bishop f4. Of course, for now, yeah, it's like still, it's already protected and not attacked, so they need to attack it 2 times before it gets weakness. After bishop e3, knight e4, take, take, take. This pawn also hangs. Let's elevate that. Doesn't look that good for me. Don't think I can use them not being castled at that moment. So bishop e3, that allows knight e4. Maybe c3. This pawn is a bit of weakness then, but it stops at least knight d4. After c3, queen c7, then bishop e3. I think, yeah, I'm very happily trade this knight for this bishop. I think I want to stop knight e4. Then I need to make sure I can protect the d pawn, even as very fast b6, bishop a6 isn't for sure an idea then. So let's say c3, b6. After they play bishop a4, then I maybe can play c4, but it weakens the square, of course, a lot. I think I more prefer c3. And let's say the castle, bishop e3, b6, queen e2. And then it's not that easy to put more pressure on this, although I probably could do that. Although after they play bishop a6, then maybe I have some a4, a5 ideas. Okay, let's see. I mainly hope to get somehow out of their preparation at some point. But yeah, I'm not gonna start playing bad moves, of course, for that. So I think bishop e3, the bishop. Although putting the bishop on e3, that would make even like one more piece before I can defend the e5 pawn. But yeah, I think in general, even if I somehow lose this pawn, yeah, also with c3 now I sort of prepare also d4 in case I need to defend this pawn, which would leave the d4 pawn backwards, but it would restrict this bishop. And but yeah, what I was saying is, let's say they play at some point, let's say b6 do not let me take this pawn, and they play queen c7 and take here, gain this pawn. I think in general, like, I think I should have at least good compensation in these lines. It's not, the knight still is like also defending here, so it's not that I'm directly giving mate or anything in these lines, but yeah, let's start with this. So after b6, probably need to move the queen, but then the question is to which square. d2 sometimes prepare bishop h6 ideas. Not sure, like getting rid of the bishop pair is of course an advantage. Queen e2, that sometimes, of course it's not possible right now, but that's, and also c2 in the same way. Let me step into the line of the knight. I think I still gonna go for d2 actually, for sure, since sometimes d4 will be maybe my way forward. And yeah, I think then already having, since c2 and e2 defends the pawn on d3, but that wouldn't defend on a d4. Also, e2 after bishop a6, never have d4. Oh yeah, or it would need to be like with a very big tempo. Maybe like, let's say, it could be like with the tempo on, for example, a queen that somehow arrived on e5 or something. But even with the knight lose here and all, very unlikely all. I think, yeah, here. I'm not sure that I'm gonna try to exchange his bishops, but even like it, I very well could see them like doing, for example, rook e8 to try to avoid that, which in that case, like I would be even like them reacting to a threat I wasn't even planning to do. That would be, of course, great. And one thing is, let's say, and there's never like my pieces are very coordinated here, so there's never like a c4 making use of a pin. Of course, after they play something like queen c7 and rook d8, that could be the case. So yeah, queen c7 here actually is very much a move. Then maybe it's time for bishop h6. Oh, whoa. That was a new way to... Don't know if there's anything with Twitch change, but that was a noise of something, like a follow or something. So thank you, or sub maybe. Anyway, thank you for that. Can't read the chat right now, so can see who it is. Yeah, since that's against the league rules. Oh yeah, I guess technically you could read the chat, but like the league rules say that like it's up to the streamer if the chat says something about the game. And yeah, there is just no way to keep chat under control. In the past, I streamed with chat open, and I had like a very big banner on my screen. Don't talk about the game, but like the people of the league themselves, they usually follow that, but outsiders, like it was very difficult. Not even that I exactly said you need to play this move or something, but therefore I had like someone that said, oh, your position is good, and it was clear that they knew more. And I knew my position was very good, but that's already too much information. So yeah, that it's just impossible to avoid that kind of stuff. So it's sometimes, and also yeah, now of course people in chat can just freely talk, so that it has some downsides and upsides. So what, yeah, bishop a6, queen c7. I think that are the two main candidates for them here. If they really want to avoid the bishop trade, rook e8 is an option. But it feels, yeah, I at least would. Yeah, but yeah, queen c7, and then I have bishop h6. And I think in general, I'm not sure I want bishop h6. Although I think I probably do. Like, it makes also quite some sense of my knight on e4. Yeah, it's not even like, at least. So sometimes there are like ideas to just take and get my queen out of sight. But in that case, like, with the two knights already looking at g5, I will, yeah, have a nice. And also, yeah, there's no knight on f6 because my pawn on e5, so there will be really mating threats. Of course, after bishop h6 they are not gonna take. But yeah, even, yeah, maybe the same. Although it's like, let's say I take, now it's very difficult to like get my queen over there. But yeah, maybe I just keep the tension. Okay, queen d5. I assume I need to do in similar way bishop h6, but yeah, now they're gonna do rook d8. Yeah, maybe my pawn is old, and also my knight is loose here. Ugh. Queen d5 is a nice move, actually. It could be that they are just better here. Yeah, for sure. I know, like, this knight h5 was a thing, but I never really looked at it because it's not played that much or at all, and like it's not a very natural move. But yeah, I feel it plays very easily. Maybe I did something stupid, but one idea I have is but yeah, I need to do two things, so that's not possible. Like, this bishop needs to be gone, and then if I then can take on e7, then I have this knight f6. I had like a game, but it was slightly different, of course. And that team was there. Since I don't have d4 now also, so queen d5 looks very good. I think I need to do bishop h6, rook d8, take, defend, but yeah, then bishop a6. Oh, I need to play c4, but it really gives up the square. At least now I gain a tempo. And now they're gonna go with the 94, of course. Maybe something like, oh no, c4. Let's say queen d7. Can I in some way use that the queen is like a little bit, but yeah, I don't have a way how to attack. I can see. Yeah. Okay. So it seems that there are some problems with the whisper function. I've heard with of all the instances where there were some problems. Yeah, both my pawns are kind of vulnerable. So d4, c4. What can I do after that? queen d7. Like a4. Rook d8. At least then I have a5 maybe. So maybe they need to spend the tempo on that. He can still play against his bishop, which the knight is very well placed, but like the bishop wants to be here. Or here. Could be the, yeah. So c4, queen d7, a4. There is also 94, but then my idea was I was gonna take. Also, at least then I have bishop f4 now. Yeah, maybe in this setup I'm not that afraid of 94. If they need to take now, okay, they gain some space advantage. Their pawn structure is, although I guess their idea then could be after this pawn goes here c5, and now this bishop is looking very nice here. And another problem, yeah, with this construction after c4, and yeah, I wanted to follow up with a4, but now after 94, knight b3, knight b3 is also a threat. So c4, queen d7, a4, 94. So both this and this is a threat. Maybe I take with the bishop. So then I don't need to spend tempo. Then also maybe could like play c5, keep keep the bishop locked in, not allowing them to play c5. Problem is then there's queen d5 back. Yeah, but maybe there it's already quite far. Yeah, and so in that line, in case they would take here, I don't think I then take back, but instead put pressure on the c file. But yeah, then they could use the b file also. I think the question is this a threat? I think maybe they could take it. Also, they just have, yeah, this. Like, what's my move otherwise? Yeah, of course this, but then just took the 8 and let's say I take, play rook d8, bishop a6. Could say that then that point c4, now at least the bishop is here. But then 94. Okay, let's do this. It's of course a very big hole here. But at least it's not that easy for them to attack. It also actually now potentially have also queen c3. Maybe that's a reasonable move. Also, I could after queen d7 play now d4. Problem is that hangs this pawn, I think. Yeah, I think it does. So that doesn't work. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't hang a pawn directly. So queen d7, d4 take with the bishop. And take, and then I have here. I have this, but then I have here. Yeah, I think that line is fine for me, but I don't need to like grab the pawn directly. I can just grab my bishop. So this stops 94 for now. Of course, they have then hook d8 potentially. Again, and adding the possibility of 94. Good. b4 is maybe an idea here. Although 94. No, that's. So a4. They have then they have of course also just a5. Okay, b4. I was thinking about b4, but that's like I can't take here because of this. That isn't working at all. Still have the knight. Like this is still, but it's not just not working. But the idea is still there. Yeah, still don't like this at all. Rook d1 to then try to get in d4. So rook d1, 94. It's more, what do I do against 94? That's the main question, right? At least if I don't play a4, there's not this knight b3 idea. So then maybe I could be thinking about moving my knight, for example. Not clear there's a good square for my knight, but at least that's an option. Knight e1. Although no, then this pawn is again hanging. So I can't, still really can't. So rook e1, 94, and I don't have. Don't like my position at all. Okay, so assume that I will need to take on d4. What do I then want? I think, yeah, a4. And I first should have, like, maybe only played bishop a6 after. But yeah, I'm not sure if I could induce that, so. So now after taking, maybe we can play bishop f4. Yeah, now then c5 is very fast. And if this bishop can be unopposed on this diagonal, then I'm in big trouble. So maybe I need to take still with the bishop and play c5. Then after queen here. And then, no. So here, 94, take c5. Take here, this. See here, take. Don't think I have there compensation. Oh no, I win this pawn then. I took e1. So that is probably fine. Okay, that's good. And maybe I can defend this pawn. Okay, need to not get too low on time. So yeah, the thing is that I need to play against this bishop on c8, but I don't see how I do it. I think it will get. It's very hard to not let it get active, and then I'm just in trouble, probably. Like I've created quite a lot of weaknesses in my position. Yeah, what's our natural moves here? Rook d8, of course. Yeah, my knight on e4 also is doing nothing. Not even sure what are the prospects. Maybe like in lines where they take and then play. Okay, so they put pressure on this pawn. Guess now I have bishop h6, rook d8. At least now there's no 94. Or do I now have d4? Take, no. That's now queen c3. Makes some sense. I of course put myself on this diagonal, but not that easy to use. After here, I just, since my knight is covering the square. Do I have maybe in some lines h4, h5 ideas? I can also still, of course, trading off the bishop with bishop h6 makes some sense. But yeah, then I have to the queen c3, rook d8. Let's say rook e1. It's not clear what their next moves are, since there's still no 94 there, I think. Oh yeah, that's also it's a little bit tactical, but since my knight on d4 is on like attacking distance of the queen. So queen c3, rook d8, rook e1, knight e4, take. Yeah, the question I had is of if there is bishop e5 in that moment. Maybe that. Rook d8. Or do I play d4 here? Although then again, this diagonal is just opening up and I'm just in trouble. So queen, rook d8, and then rook e1, knight e4. Look just very good. B4. Bishop here. Take. Rook E1. Dus dat indirectly defend is. Take. 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 Bishop here. Let's say the rook moves. Do I have there a discovery with the knight? Good discovery. Knight G5. Queen moves. Not there, then I have ideas here. Probably it's too risky to. I think there it's too risky to take the pawn. Maybe I play rook e1. Then rook d8. Bishop here. Okay, let's put my pieces centralized. Like I have like a picture of centralization, but not a picture of pawn structure, and also not the bishop pair. So, but yeah, I think show my call calculated correctly. They maybe have knight g7. I think yeah, that's no. That would be extremely dangerous to grab this pawn. It's yeah, often even. Okay, bishop e7. That's already like forwardly. Oh, the stream is still running fine since it's running a bit slow on my end. Yeah, we need to close some stuff. Don't have that much open. So yeah, with the future 94, and assuming I take and then c5 and opening up the bishop. Although at least now, after, let's say 94, I take with the bishop and c5. Whenever they take, my 95 will be the temple on the bishop. And the bishop is for now still, yeah, of course, not a good piece. So yeah, b5, b4 is here. Not at all an idea. Maybe this is a moment that I move some knight g5. Since, yeah, the bishop is, now that the bishop has left this diagonal, like one of the reasons, so now it's less problem. Yeah, one knight g5 taking would be now very favorable for me. And also, like earlier, like the bishop then would have a very nice square on e6, which is no, and of course it's still a nice square now, but at least then they would have lost to tempi, which is nice. Or of course also need to consider d4, but yeah, that's just completely plays into their hand. Then the bishop is perfectly placed on b7. Oh no, bishop h6. Actually, yeah, maybe this is the moment for bishop h6, since now also the bishop is like they really put their pieces on this side of the board. Or maybe I can create some attacking ideas. So with bishop h6, let's say rook d8, I take, and then play knight g5. And then my queen gets closer to the king. Also, just straight knight g5 without including bishop h6. So they take, and then maybe play rook d8. Then I can go queen f4, maybe even queen h4. Okay, I think that's an interesting option. So yeah, I don't think, I highly doubt the e5 pawn is now hanging. Yeah, no, it's not. I need to what can I close here? Yeah, maybe this. Let's hope the stream is still doing fine. That it's just feeling a little bit slow at my end. No. Yeah, all my pieces are like not at kingside, but at like can't do it even show something anymore. This is not good. But all on this side of the board. Well, they have like 3 pieces outside of this box. Of course, it's not that they are like that far away or anything, but something to which can give some potential. Yeah, I sort of. I think I still like not trading the bishops yet. I guess, yeah, the moment they play rook d8 now, after bishop h6, they will have bishop h8, so then I maybe can't take anymore. But for now, like, I still have my e5 pawn restricting their bishop. Like, that's the main strategical aspect of the Rossolimo restricting the bishops, and for now they are still restricted. But once they get open, then of course the bishop pair can become very dangerous. And yeah, I had already needed to do a lot of concessions to keep them restricted, like with this structure here on c4 and e3, which is clearly not super healthy. But yeah, like, I'm also, of course, I'm very ready to like play d4. Problem is that then, yeah, they are very ready to reply with c5, and yeah, this is with taking, of course, first on d4, then c5, and this bishop from a very restricted piece becomes a monster. Okay. So, what do I do here? I have some ideas of taking and knight g5. Problem, yeah, here I think they can take. Oh well. There are some tactical ideas here for sure. With like bishop take. Of course they are gonna take with queen. Yeah, can that they realize there is a mistake and they don't do it, but then yeah, if they need to take with the f pawn, then I don't need to calculate any further, then I of course do it. Bishop h6, so rook d8. I take, and then the other knight. And then yeah, I wanted to do e6. No, that was not. I wanted to first. I don't even wanted to take. That was not the line. Was thinking taking, queen e6, bishop h6, and let's say rook d8, and then knight g5. If they take, I take their queen. They take. I take on d8 and I take the bishop in the end, maybe. I would need to calculate that more precise, but and if they move the queen in that line, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, probably still then need to take on g7. Yeah. The thing is with taking here 95, I can get an e6, which is in general nice. It's often an idea in these positions, but I'm not sure how much it does here. Let's say if they play f6, I can plant my knight on f7, but it's not attacking anything. Rook d8, take 95. Yeah, maybe I take, play bishop h6, and then they do a move, and then I do a queen move to, let's say, not sure, f4 or g5. Yeah, don't think they never really can take. Since then I play, yeah, of course, 95. Yeah, okay. Maybe I need to get also my fall ready. Can see this crashing at any moment. It feels super slow at my end. It's lagging super hard. Like there was like 3 seconds between hearing the noise and seeing the move. It was... And maybe they should like play something like queen g4 here. But then, yeah, queen g4, I play rook e4, gaining tempo. They can then after queen h... Yeah, no, it's just not working, I think. Yeah, rook e4 is here for sure an idea, even in general. Like rook e4, rook h4. And then I threaten to take on g7 and queen h4, queen h6 and mate. Yeah. For now, the fact that these pieces are completely not in the defense, like it is a more a factor that I already saw. I said it with like the split of the board height, but at that moment it still felt very far-fetched, but now I start to see concrete lines where it's relevant. still could be that they have perfectly fine defense here, but so yeah, one of the ideas I could have is playing with f6. Then I think after an f6, then I always straight. Yeah, it's still think feels that I should be at least fine in the end. Yeah, my activity is just very good. Yeah, and then lines with f6, they all need to like recapture with the rook. Yeah, assuming, let's say, the queens get raided. Then yeah, of course the queen cannot stay on on e6 in that case. But yeah, so let's. I guess yeah, they can play f6 in this moment. But yeah, so yeah, the idea is that or they need to or this pawn is often hanging, or yeah, or I just have the open line with my rook after they play f6. So my pieces are already very well placed for that. And while I have multiple weaknesses in my position, they are very well defended. Like my d3 pawn is like double overprotected. My b2 pawn is defended for the moment. I'm completely ready to play d4 if needed. Of course, yeah, maybe in this exact position c4 could be hanging, but I feel the queen is not at all stable anyway on e6. At some point I will play knight g5, and it's almost, yeah, the queen, I can't see any lines where the queen can stay on e6. Oh, for sure, I want yeah, so the question is, do I want my queen on g5 or on f4? Also, rook e4 could be here. I don't know. This feels like going for a direct win. But it's also it's not easy to stop. The only thing after rook e4, maybe now they can go for f6. No, then after f6, I probably still just play rook h4. Let's say they take on e5, take on g7, king g7, h6. Yeah, that's at least should be very good for me. Right. Yeah, that's like they both plans look very strong, but So now the question is which of the other ones is the strongest. Don't even see like it's not that they have big threats or anything in the position. And maybe after rook e4, rook h4, we can sacrifice the exchange. Also after rook e4, sometimes I could be preparing d4 though. Okay, let's make sure. Guess f5. Since yeah, like the staking, then so that's the one idea they could have is like f6 over f5. I take on f6. They take on e4 and they take the trade queens. But yeah, it's still felt that even that line is very good for me. And then yeah, they need in the end to. No, then in the end my bishop maybe hangs. But yeah, I think then at least. Then I just play rook h4. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Of course, I put myself now on this diagonal of the bishop, but it's very hard to open up that diagonal. I basically I have I have 1, 2, actually yeah, sort of 4 attackers against 2 defenders, maybe you could say. The bishop and the queen. Even the queen is not defending that much actually, but so yeah, there's like this. At least Kasparov has said it once, like when you have like 2 more attackers than defenders, the attack should work. It's like a little bit like sometimes pawns count in the defenders. Like it's you can also pawn scan attackers. It like my e-pawn is also sort of an attacker actually, so it's very vaguely how you count it, but maybe he has a clear role, but I have like a very big. I have a lot of games like examples of that. And I can, yeah, it often is a very good guideline. I'm gonna like not gonna start playing on my phone, but just yeah, then it doesn't really help to get it ready. Let's just not let's say don't get below a minute. Oh, the time on my screen just it's not even counting like in seconds. Sometimes the time goes down on 2-3 seconds in one go. This heck if it's not the first time my laptop is struggling a bit with I'm not with Yeah, I've no idea why it would be worse now. Actually, there are some reasons why it should be better than on earlier streams. Since I cleaned my hard drive up quite a lot. I think I can try one thing. Share if this is on screen. What I'm doing now. Oh no, that's not that I wanted on another screen. Sorry for this. Oh no. Okay. I'm gonna close all my extensions. Like every little thing could help. So no, I don't have any ad blockers on now, but no. I'm quite low on time. Like it's not panic mode yet, but like if now the position would explode, then I could be in some troubles with that. And so I have a lot. I'm using quite a lot of extensions, so. Oh. So it could be that that's the reason. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Still 65% of my memory is being used. Feels still a lot, but yeah, at least I think this should be a bit better, I think. Could be that, yeah, now restarting would help a lot, but yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I should have restarted before starting up my stream. Sometimes do that, but didn't do that today. Like, again, I heard the noise way before. Okay, so they also thought they are in some trouble. So I'm thinking here about taking the exchange, then not taking the pawn, but playing rook h4. Also could trade first on g7 and then play rook h4. But then they have maybe some h5 stuff. Anyway, yeah. Everything should be very good here for me, I think. Although, I guess in that line then I have queen e5. And although that still looks actually amazing for me. I'm gonna take this already for sure. And I'm, yeah, for sure not taking on d4 here. So the question is, do I take on g7 or not? So taking on g7, rook h4, then they need to play h5 probably, or they have rook h8 then. So rook h4, they have queen e5, rook e1. And then they, no. Then they can take on h6. I think that works. My pieces are overworked in that line. Good start with rook e1. Then after something like c5, then play rook h4. Yeah, that looks very good. Although then I play rook. Can move the rook maybe. But yeah. Yeah, my biggest fear at the moment is that I'm somehow gonna flag because of the lag. Yeah, and it's like recent. It should be that I should recently I should have made it easier for my laptop to handle, and now it's somehow worse. Mm, okay. What are candidate moves of them here? I think moving the rook to something like d8. But then, yeah, maybe play. No. Yeah, maybe queen. H. No, I think I then want to trade the bishop off. Then rook h4. Forcing h5. Or rook h8, and but then they needed to spend 2 moves with the rook. And in that case, I could then take on d4. Just need to make sure then that I don't lose an exchange back, but I think that I'm fine. Yeah, and this h4, it feels that it should weaken the king enough that I somehow can use that. Some moment maybe I should just make sure that I spend a tempo to get my back rank to solve my back rank problems. Like to make sure that there's not some tactic where they can use that my e-pawn is pinned. Although my e-pawns in most of these lines still would be pinned because my rook is then hanging, but and since yeah, I putting my rook on h4, and maybe don't do that. I induce h5, but my rook is also a little bit out of place there. Low rook h4, h5, queen g5. But yeah, that's a nice example where there's f6. And my rook is bent. Also, maybe have IDs with h4, h5. Hmm. I'm just gonna keep the game open on my phone. Don't trust it. Like the lag is ridiculous. Okay, at least. There are alternative moves here. F6. Wow. Don't I now have rook h4 again? Also taking here. Taking. Assume they need to take with the queen. And then I take here. No, I include this and then I take here. Forcing also a rook trade. And then win a pawn. Yeah, that's could be. Maybe this is a little bit more direct, right? Maybe they have some bishop h6 at some moment. I think this is very direct. Here, I need to take, and I take here. I need to play rook f7, I trade. Just have an exchange. Their king is super weak. Yeah. Probably queen e2 even. My queen defends knight at the f2. Very well could be that there was something better even, but this feels very convincing. Next queen e2. Not sure which. Yeah, in both cases it looks very strong. I have queen e5. Like I have all these entry squares on the e file. Queen trade will, yeah, basically finish the game. Winning the bishop, of course, also would finish the game. Oh, actually, queen g5 was maybe even more precise. Yeah, this looked that good that I didn't look further. Yeah, queen g5 is almost certain more precise. Like rook e7. Look, then king here. Yeah, then I check and yeah. Okay, yeah, queen g5. I think finished the game on the spot. This probably also will finish the game on the spot, but in a like slower way. Like maybe the best I will have is the queen trade, and then they could still decide to play on. It's pretty hopeless, but yeah, they could. Can't you? Here, the rook will be so much stronger than the bishop. The bishop can attack d3, but let's say I put my king on d2. And the rook can just shift all over the board to start attacking stuff. Also, I already have a pawn, so. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I have at least queen e7. But maybe should look for more. But it was a little bit lazy of me to just play queen e2 straight away. Queen e5 was not all that difficult. So I have queen e5. Like, what are they gonna run here? Check. I don't have a check then. Come, let's not make it more difficult than needed. They can't even not infiltrate himself. Like, what do they even play here? Queen g8? King g8? Then no, it's still it's more than a queen trade, I think. Maybe they can do a waiting move somehow. Maybe move the bishop. Yeah, okay. And then they have some moves they can play. Like the bishop move. Or bishop here. I guess this is a sensible move to get the bishop to g4. But yeah, then again I will have this idea. And wherever the bishop moves, I will attack it and try to rook e7. So that maybe doesn't work either. So then they maybe need to make a pawn move. And after that, yeah, I again could go back to ideas of like do a queen move, threaten rook e7. Maybe I just go straight back to g5 actually. It's super hard to even just moves for them. I don't see any. Since yeah, I think they only can make pawn moves and yeah, okay, so now I have this. I think. Let's we I threaten rook e7 and I threaten the bishop. Because they have queen f5. And they have queen f5. After which I have a check. If this then. So here, oh no, bishop f5 doesn't work, but queen f5. After queen f5, maybe rook here. After bishop here, then now I just not blunder this. That would be embarrassing. Don't think there is any tricks they can do here. I think I'm threatening g4 here. Like the clinical way was for sure just to like the safe way was to just trade queens. But I think maybe if I was like an important game, maybe I trade queens there. Since I think there's absolutely zero risk to not win the game. Well, here, yeah, here the risk for a blunder is way bigger. Okay, the bishop is completely out of play now. I can now this. So I have now the no. I guess the idea maybe could be taking here, and then my hook will be. I'll see what I do. I'll look. Yeah, I guess they need to. It could go to f8. Maybe it's possible. Oh no, that loses directly to this. So they need to go here. Then at least I again have like a queen trade. And they put their bishop down on a bad square. Or this, show me something like this. Oh yeah, okay. And that's queen trade and an even better. I can just trade queens. So here, this, only move this. I trade. I take on h7, then on a7. I guess the only thing, yeah, but that doesn't even work. Like sacrifices on c4 and d3. My king is close enough. And my rook is also close enough, but even my king is close enough. So that kind of tricks are not in a position. Yeah. Only move, right? I know, then yeah, the clinical way is this, of course. Yes. Yeah, well, but I didn't thought there was the check, but there is actually the check that gets the queen away. So this, and then I do this. And then they resign. It's true. No. No blunder. It will be even very fast checkmate. Okay. Yeah, something to check off my opening. But after that, very happy with the game. Yeah, actually, overall, I think maybe the opening was not like super good, but I think So was the stream running smoothly, or was it just at my end? Or was there also some problem with? Oh, looks like Scoos gave me some bits. Not sure if they are still here. Okay, yeah, it was just like there was a lot of lag at my end, so I was worried about that, but good that it's only at my end. Okay, I can close that. I can close that. Okay. So my opponent said they maybe wanted to join. Not sure. They said that before the game, so I'm not sure what their plan is right now. Like, I still have enough energy right now. Yeah, so they go to the NS here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Was not meant that I already saw the graph, but that's very happy with that. Yeah, and assume was bishop b7 a mistake, or? Let's see. Yeah, okay, so what were people saying? Yeah, don't know this knight h5, so what's here? Okay, I guess most lines still would transpose. Do I still transpose here? So these people that take directly, who do they play it? I guess, yeah, h3, that doesn't... Yeah, the one thing, like g4 here, but that's also not the ID. Knight e. Yeah, I still will need to... Like now, maybe I could have... But yeah, I think probably very likely that it's just a lot of them transposes later. So I mostly did logical moves, only c3 as maybe... I guess, like with how the game went, then probably bishop e3. With this ID, maybe if they go to d4 to take it, and then go from there. Yeah, I guess v6, queen d2. Let's say 94 here. That's... Yeah, I will look at this deeper on my own. But yeah, I'm like... I'm not... But yeah, playing c3 and then here c4, that probably doesn't man... isn't... so yeah, I'm not sure. So so I'm not sure if you're here, Timothy, or not. So how is everyone's weekend? Maybe wait if they want to join for a second. Like I had yesterday also a very nice OTB game, which I shared some selects in the OTB channel. Like close Sicilian against a very strong opponent, so to end it in a draw, which, yeah, quite high level from both. Okay, looks like they might be coming here. Hi. So yeah, this knight h5. Yeah, it was a little bit lazy part of my side. I knew this line existed and that even the Stockfish recommends it. 2170 it was the opponent I drew, so yeah, that was quite a strong opponent. But yeah, I don't think I've looked at it yet. And then, so yeah, I was like freestyling, and you kept, looks like you prepared it. At least because of that, I knew I was making some sensible moves, mostly. Assumed you was sort of in prep. But yeah, I liked actually your position here. So I needed to find a way to. But yeah, like first my idea was with a4, but that's I thought just a5 and that doesn't do anything. So then I decided to just centralize my pieces, which looked. Felt yeah, you lost quite some time here. I guess here I also correctly calculated that you can't take this pawn. Not sure actually if I calculated completely out. But here. What? Is it, was this, what, how is this in the analysis? This is the line I was saying in the game, I think, but rook d8. And I thought here something like this. Yeah, maybe this is possible. I guess you have queen f6. I think I missed that queen f6. I thought, yeah, me getting to this diagonal, but queen f6 both defends like here, and yeah, I wasn't, but I thought I didn't like my position anyway before, and I thought no, if it doesn't work, yeah, that's actually also still an idea. So in this position. Yeah, the question is, do I include the capture or not? But yeah, this rook e3, like I have a lot of similar like in the game, but yeah, in the game your bishop was also out of the game. But I have a lot of firepower towards your king. Although I guess yeah, I need to take care since now you can take probably on g5. So probably I need to take here first. And yeah, this looks very good compensation for me. Like maybe we need to go put the queen on an h8 or something. Yeah, officially there's nothing. Okay. Okay. But yeah, I guess I don't need to. Instead, there are also other alternatives. Yeah, so this. Yeah, I at least have good compensation here. I didn't like my position at all before, so I felt even if I'm worse here, it's an improvement. So that But yeah, that was for sure the critical moment of the game. But instead of that, what's happening here? So you played bishop e7 and that felt completely off. And since here, yeah, the now like I thought now that the bishop no longer can go to e6 here. Now this knight g5 and it's played very fast myself. Yes, but I was never gonna allow that. But yeah, this was of course like before, after 94, I usually wanted to trade. But that was all what I was playing against, not allowing this idea. So yeah, you, for example, could have already played 94 here. So, but here, for example, then, although here I'm not sure what was my idea, since, but yeah, often I wanted to play c5 to not allow this to happen, this diagonal to open. Not sure in this exact case, but in general that was an idea I had. But here it was, yeah, also concrete position. Since there was some queen d5 here. But yeah, not allowing the light square bishop in the game, that was my only real plan in the game. And it was at some cost, but yeah, and here, yeah, I think this. So yeah, here I assume you need to go here to force my hand. Like now, you can play with bishop h8. And if I now trade, now this attack is... I still have an attack here, but now it's at least... you can fight against it. Like you have h5 possibly as defense. Maybe you can go rook h8 and some lines. Mainly h5, I think. It still looks very scary, of course, with the ideas of knight g5, queen f4. But yeah. And then here, since originally my idea here was to play with queen f4. But yeah, then I saw, and now that's this rook still is here, and yeah, this idea is just, and yeah, rook d4, I feel, even if it's somehow the best, like it's so hopeless a position after rook d4, but what do you otherwise do? I guess, yeah, you had these ideas with pushing the f pawn, which you did like one or two moves later. But yeah, I probably would have just ignored it and played rook h4 anyway. And now you are of course in the trouble here. But maybe then this. And maybe it's not directly checkmate. Also, maybe you have actually, now that I see, rook f7 ID, it looks... so. It could also be f5 is another option. Or g5. Yeah, and that's... and then a capture with a rook. The rook is of course completely out of play, but I have seen that in this line actually. Oh yeah, not in, since I never have played the knight h5 line, but when they go with knight g4, there are of course a lot of similarities still, and then so yeah, then the hook sometimes happens on but yeah, something like here. I assume I'm still a lot of better here, of course. Maybe take. Yeah, I'm not sure if I take, since that opens the rook back up. But yeah, taking and then yeah, no, probably taking and the rook comes back. Probably should be good. Should be active enough here. Don't think the d3 pawn, yeah, is that big an issue. Probably I can. And instead, yeah, I always I'm very ready to play a d4 myself, so get rid of my weakness. So, but yeah, this was an yeah, but this rook d4. I think here. Yeah, my rook f. Yeah, this was. Yeah, here I was quite unhappy with myself that I didn't play Queen g5, which almost finished the game on the spot, I think. Since you're here, I don't see how you defend. I guess h6, maybe. But at least that's then an improved version of the game. H6. Yeah, h6, then I maybe can go to d. Yeah, probably d8 is very strong here. But yeah, probably, yeah, this is of course also still winning. So yeah, I guess, and later there's not that much to say. Yeah, anyway, don't need to. We don't need to like everything is here winning. Of course, the more interesting part was earlier, right? Yeah. So queen d2. And maybe let's check what people in chat were saying around the earlier part, right? What were you saying here? Yeah, I think c3 is where I diverted. Like there were here rook e1 and bishop e3. Since yeah, this, but that makes a lot of sense, right? Since anyway, later I played c4 and so, and I think this in a lot of lines I'm just a tempo down. But yeah, I really wanted to stop this knight e4, which here is actually a move, so maybe practically my c3 wasn't that bad. So maybe let's see like how it's in the Lichess. There are already no games here. Are there still games here? Yeah, very little game actually. So it's a line that is like, yeah, this, it's of course this knight h5 and Shum is, yeah, there are almost no games in the Lichess database. Although I guess I don't know, I have it on classical. That's the reason. Yeah, no, now there are quite some more games still, but it's, yeah, how much of the games are with knight h5? It's yeah, 5%. Here we transpose back to more games, and move orders didn't. Yeah, only one game with c3. But and how did they play it? Yeah, we are here already completely on. But yeah, I think I'm not, since what I assume in the lines, if you don't play, I avoided 94 here. Were you, let's say, were you still in prep here, or if I had played this, or were you knew mostly the plans, not concrete lines? Since I think after sometimes queen d5 here could be a move, and then I sort of gain a tempo compared to the game with c4. Yes. Yeah, I already felt it was even my I thought here I had of course seen the idea of the knight getting to e6, but stupidly with d3 I thought I stop knight f4 knight e6, but of course you can go this way too. And I know that then this was your plan, but I assumed you go to f5 then, but you still can go to e6. So that was really silly of me. Yes. Yeah, here you could have started with bishop a6, then c4. I probably still play. No, I guess here I can play with rook d1. Yeah. The plan should be to activate your bishops. Like if your bishops gets open, then you're basically winning. But yeah, I'm fighting with all costs to avoid that, of course. But yeah, this bishop a6. And now I have this idea of a4, a5 for sure. So bishop a6 is probably also not it. So yeah, and here we're already at a point where the queen. So yeah, I guess this bishop b7, that was a little bit too much of hope chess, I think. Maybe rook d8 instead, at least bait. But yeah, then of course what you are doing with the other rook, right? So I understand that you probably want this rook on the 8. But yeah, it's also what do I now do the next move? Like now I don't have bishop h6 since you just have bishop h8 and doesn't make that much of sense. Like now knight g5 is less a thing since what is it really doing? Yeah, I understand what your idea was with bishop b7, but yeah, the problem was that now I had a clear plan, and that makes sense that you just missed my plan, of course. I'm not sure what I would have done here. Like, it feels like my position is already improved to the maximum, and I can do very little. Maybe I had the idea to maybe sometimes push the h pawn, but also not doing that much. actually. You probably can just stop it with h5. Maybe I still play Nh5. But yeah, then here sometimes my pawn is just hanging, right, on e5. Maybe queen c3 was also sometimes an option. But yeah, then I thought 94. Not sure, I assume, since this was my main line, I'm not sure anymore what my plan was, actually. Maybe I wanted... No, I don't have queen f4 here yet. I'm curious what the engine thinks here. Maybe I'm just worse here, slightly worse. Oh, I'm still okay here already. Bishop f4. I guess this knight is very strong, so I don't need to be afraid of it being traded off. Yeah, knight g3. Yeah, I assume it's because to unmask my rook. But knight g3, I of course saw like the option of knight g3, but it feels it isn't doing anything here. It has no future at all. So I was not. Yeah, maybe bishop f4. Since yeah, now here again I'm nicely restricting your bishops. But then at least you can get your bishop out too. And yeah, we have a very interesting middle game here, of course. Like even g4 was popping up here. Yeah, you often want to break here with f6. Although, for some reason... yeah, f6, yeah, that's also using the pin here. That's nice. And let's see, bishop goes back. 6. Now the structure is weakened, and again, there are the difficulties around the king. And these positions, I quite like them to play them. I think they are very rich, very strategically interesting. I feel I have a good feeling for them. So, and what are the other alternatives here for black? Yeah, I feel this was of course, yeah, 90. Yeah, but here there's no 94. Yeah, this plan with the queen was maybe a little bit slow. Of course, rook d8 here again was very similar. Yeah, maybe I still play rook fe1, but maybe now you can play 94. And maybe this was a line I was looking at, and was here my idea. Since yeah, this move was always very uncomfortable for me to... I was never sure what I was going to do against his 94. In a lot of lines it felt very uncomfortable. Also, of course, yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, mostly I said most of the rest during the game. Not sure if you have any other interesting moments to discuss, but otherwise I'm gonna end it here. And yeah, this I'm gonna for sure upload it to YouTube. I think it was a very interesting game. I want to stream back a little bit more, like probably some blitz or something. I haven't planned anything concretely. I guess you will see it pop up. Thanks for joining, and see you next time. Rook F. Yeah, I think. So where the Stockfish thinks it goes completely wrong. Yeah. If you need to play here, back bishop c8. That's yeah, and here it's already completely. Yeah, so like bishop b7 is not that horrible a mistake because you can still correct yourself with bishop c8. But yeah, that's of course a very difficult move. Yeah, bye. See you on Slack or maybe in the future on in chat. Thanks for the game. Yeah, and I see you also for the rest of the chat. See you next time.